ahead and get started. Good morning. My name is Maggie. I'm going to be subbing today for KB for our stretch and relax class. It'll be a short 30-minute class just to get some movement in to start our day. I normally teach at the rec. If you don't already know me, I'm just helping out. But yeah, so if you have any questions after class, feel free to let me know. Other than that, we're going to start in a seated position today. And I'll get my music started. Go ahead and find a seated crisscross position. We're going to start with a few breaths this morning. Hands can be relaxed on our knees here. I invite you to close your eyes. Maybe set an intention for today's class and for the rest of our day. As we find our breath here, I want us to think like we're growing towards the sky, creating space between the vertebrae with each inhale, and relaxing with each exhale. As we inhale, going up towards the sky, shoulders roll up towards our ears. And as we exhale, keeping that same length in our vertebrae, exhaling, shoulders down. Inhaling, repeating the same thing, shoulders roll up towards our ears. Exhale, shoulders roll down and back. Doing that 2 more times. One more here. On our next breath, bringing our arms up overhead. And exhaling, falling to one side, finding a lateral bend, stretching through that. Inhaling to center. Exhaling to the other side. Using your own breath as a guide. Inhaling to center and exhaling to switch. Keeping those sit bones pressed into the floor. Next time we come center, instead of going to the side, we're going to find some rotation. Looking to the side. Inhaling back to center. And using our breath side once again. Hands can come up overhead, or we can walk across. Giving me one more wherever we are. And finding our center. Walking those hands forward, finding a quick seated forward fold, hinging out those hips, going as far as when we start to feel that stretch in our low back, maybe our glutes a little bit. And walking those hands back. Leaning over to one side so that we can swing those legs around to the back, finding a tabletop or quadruped position. Knees stacked under our hips, shoulders over our wrists. Starting with some cats and cows here. Rounding out the back, chin chest to chest as we find our cow, or our cat, sorry. Inhaling, eyes gaze towards the sky, arching that back. Moving between the two, warming up our spine for the rest of our day. Feeling free to find some more organic movements here. Maybe some tail wags. And coming to that neutral spine here, we're going to bring our knees a little bit wider than our traditional tabletop position and walk our hands forward just slightly. And we're going to move our hips in a circular motion, coming over those heels and coming back on one side. So kind of shifting your hips in a circular or U shape, shifting from a modified low plank position and circling it back, opening up through those hips a little bit. Maybe one more wherever we are. And bringing those toes together, knees apart, walking those hips over heels for our child's pose. Connecting with your breath here, feeling that belly expand onto our thighs. Each inhale. Inhaling, shifting that weight forward, finding a low plank. And slowly lowering it down. Inhaling, lifting that chest, finding a baby cobra. If you want to come onto your forearms for Sphinx. Maybe looking over opposite shoulders. Stretching through that low back. And placing your hands on the mat if they are already, and pressing those hips back over our heels, child's pose. Same thing here, shifting forward into that low plank position. Exhale, lowering down to the mat. Inhaling to baby cobra or Sphinx. Or if we're feeling good, maybe pressing up into a higher full cobra. Again, feeling free to sway side to side. Feeling that stretch radiate down the low back. Before sending those hips over our heels once again. Shifting that weight forward, finding a tabletop position once again. Tucking those toes under, option to come into that downward dog. Or sending it back into our child's pose if we're not feeling this yet today. Feeling free to walk out those feet. Feeling that stretch down the back side of our legs, keeping our spine nice and long, knowing it's totally natural to have those heels lifted and knees bent, really focusing on keeping that spine nice and long here, pressing our hands away from the mat. Pressing both those heels back towards the mat if we have it already. And as we shift forward, bringing one foot forward to find a low lunge. Back knee can be down or lifted, finding that low lunge position. Feeling that stretch through our back hip flexor, opening up that hip. Hips stay squared forward. Opposite hand of the leg in front stays pressed down towards the mat as the outside arm opens up, finding a little bit of rotation this morning. And releasing those hands back to center. Pressing through that front leg, raising through the torso. Hands can be at heart center, or we can bring them up overhead. Thinking train tracks, not tight ropes, keeping that wide base for support. Slowly raising our gaze upwards, finding a little bit of back extension as we press those hips forward. Hands can be extended at heart center, or if we want to open up the chest, find some cactus arms. Exhale, bring those arms in, close the chest slightly, finding a rounded out back position. And inhale, opening up those arms once again. One more time, exhale, rounding ourselves out, making ourselves small. And inhaling, pressing those hips forward, opening up through the chest. Relaxing those arms down, reaching back towards the mat, and shifting our weight back, finding a hamstring stretch in that front leg. Keeping that hip stacked over our knee. Feeling that stretch in the back of our thigh and our hamstring. If you feel it more behind your knee, maybe hinging forward a little further or bending your knee a little bit. Shifting that weight back forward. Taking that front leg back into that quadruped position. Shifting weight forward into low plank. Exhale, chaturanga down. Inhale to baby cobra or full cobra. And exhale, sending those hips over heels, child's pose. As we shift back forward, tucking those toes under, finding our downward dog or our child's pose. Whichever leg we haven't put front first, go ahead and bring it forward. Always option to use that hand for some support, finding that low lunge, tapping that back knee down. Hands are placed into the mat, stretching through those hips here. Placing that inside hand down, opening up towards that bent knee, finding some rotation. And exhaling, returning those hands to center. Pressing through that front foot. Torso raises, finding our lunge here. Hands can be at heart center or extended overhead. Just really pressing through that back hip, squeezing through our back glute to keep those hips aligned left to right. Opening up those arms, finding our cactus arms, opening up through our chest. Exhale, rounding out the back. Bringing those forearms together. Inhaling, taking up space, finding our cactus arms, shifting that weight. And exhale, rounding out. Giving me one more here. And coming in heart center one last time. Bringing those hands back towards our mat and shifting that weight back, stretching through that front hamstring. Beautiful. Go ahead and shift that weight back forward, walking those hands up and bringing that front leg back once again. Toes the other knees apart, finding our child's pose. And running through our half series here, shifting forward to low plank. Exhale, chaturanga down. Inhaling, finding our cobra, baby cobra. And exhale, sending those hips back to child's. Shifting forward, finding our tabletop position. Restocking our joints here. Raising our favorite limb of the day up and threading that needle with our exhale. If you'd like, you can continue this movement dynamically. or you can just hold that. Using that top arm to press up, coming to center, lifting our opposite arm and moving through. Again, option to and fro and our thread the needle, or you can hold in that final position. A little mid-back mobility here, opening up through the thoracic spine. And pressing up to center. Sending those heels back. Toes together, knees apart to our child's pose. From here, shifting your weight over that right heel and walking our hands over to the left, feeling that stretch through the right side of our torso and a little extra stretch through our right glute. Almost like a little side bend. Walking those hands to center, left hip shifts over left heel, hands walk over towards our right, feeling that stretch through the left side of our torso. And walking hands back to center, shifting forward and walking those hands up towards the body. From here, we're going to shift up into a gate pose, so a kneeling position. In that kneeling position, and you can keep it here, or you can extend one leg out so that we can stretch through that inner thigh a little bit. From here, we're raising the opposite arm, stretching towards that extended leg. Hand can relax on our calf or our thigh, trying not to put excess pressure on. Feeling that stretch through the outside oblique and the inner thigh here. Take deep breaths here. Inhaling, finding our center and switching sides. Again, also the option to stay in that kneeling position. Finding that side bend. And inhaling to center. Bringing those knees down and swinging our legs to the front, finding a seated position. Here, we're going to find a seated figure four, just crossing an ankle over the opposite knee, stretching through that. If you'd like, you can kind of sway side to side. Take your breath here. And release. Switching sides, using that hand for support if you'd like. Or if you'd like, you can also roll down to your back. Releasing that top leg. Legs can extend or find a crisscross position, finding a forward fold here. And walking those hands back up. If we're in that extended leg position, crossing our leg over, finding some rotation, or just finding some rotation in that crisscross position like we did at the beginning of class. Inhale, center. Exhale to switch sides. Keep tall, elongated through the spine. And releasing the center. Using our favorite leg of the day to roll on back into a lying position. Taking these last few minutes just to relax. Feeling free to go through any last stretches you feel your body needs. If you like, you can also come into our happy baby or our dead dog, drawing those knees towards our armpits, grabbing on the inside of that big toe and drawing our low back towards the mat. Letting go of any last stressors that we are holding on to. Allowing those thoughts to come to mind, but trying not to attach to them. Giving yourself this last minute just to reflect on our morning, maybe touching back in with that intention that we set at the beginning of class. And inviting movement into the body, maybe rolling our head from side to side, shaking no, rolling out our wrists, ankles, wiggling our toes and our fingers. And rolling to one side into a fetal position so that we can press up with that top arm. Ending together with just breaths. Like free to join me, inhaling up Exhale, release. More. And relax. All right, y'all. Thank you so much